Hi, boys and girls. This is Miss Hood here, explaining to you how to work through some of these complex word problems. Today, Kendra is the subject of our word problem. So I'm going to read it to you and we're going to get started. Kendra is using 27 blue patches and some white patches to make a quilt. A quilt is like a blanket, so you can kind of imagine that in your head. The quilt has a total area of 540 square inches. Each patch has an area of 9 square inches. Our big question is, how much is the area of the quilt is white? So just a quick reminder of what area is. Area is the total space inside an object. So if we're talking about blanket, we're talking about all the squares on top, not the around. The around is called the perimeter. So we're going to start by writing down what we know. We know we need to get to the total of, we have the total, which is 540 square inches. That's how big the entire quilt is. And we know that the quilt has blue and white pieces. We do know a lot of details about this blue patches. So we know we have 27 of them, and that each of them is 9 square inches. That word each here is telling us that each of those 27 squares is 9 inches. So we can multiply 27 times 9 to find out how much blue tiles space is. So we can do 9 times 27. We're going to use the box method. I know most of you choose that as your strategy. Breaking it down by place value. So this one is over and up, 9 times 20. I know 9 times 2 is 18. They have a 0, so I need a 0. And 9 times 7. 9 times 7 is 63. When you add those two partial products of 180 and 63, you will find your total amount of space that the blue patches take up. We want to make sure that we take the time to stay organized and keep our place value items in line. So 0 plus 3 is 3. 8 plus 6 is 14. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So we now know that our blue space takes up 243 square inches. So if you're like me, now we know the total, 540, and we know that the total is created of the blue, which we now know our total of that piece is 243, plus this unknown. I want you to take a second to think about, how can we find this unknown number? If you need to pause the video, you can. But you're probably already thinking that we can rearrange this. Instead of adding an unknown piece, we can subtract to find the unknown. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 540, which is our total, minus the blue parts of the quilt, which is 243. If you've already noticed, you're going to have to borrow, because you cannot take this 3 from nothing. We're going to have to borrow all the way back to the 5. The 5 becomes a 4 because I'm going to borrow 100 and give it to that 4, giving it 14, because that's really 14 tens. Then I'm going to have to borrow from that 14 tens to get 13 tens, so I can give 10 to this ones place. 10 minus 3 is 7. 13 minus 4 is 9. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So now we have found our total amount of white pieces. The last and final step that I always would like for you guys to do is go back to the question and make sure you've answered it. Have you answered how much of the area of the quilt is white? Do we know the white piece? Yes, we do. Our final answer is 297.